Another election season has come and gone. While national media outlets report that a, quote, surge of women ran for office in major races since last year's presidential election, the gender gap in politics remains. And so we have to ask, where are the women? That question was the title of an article written and researched by WXXI's Tiana Mannin for City Newspaper. It's a question surrounded by a number of issues, some of which my guests will address tonight. Joining me at the desk is Dina Levy, Associate Professor of Political Science and International Studies at the College at Brockport. Ruth Scott, the first president of the Rochester City Council and the first African-American woman elected to the City Council. And WXXI reporter Tiana Mannin. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So Tiana, from your article covering specifically a focus on Monroe County elected officials and political candidates to the national news outlets looking at more of the political landscape as a whole when it comes to women running for office, I have seen articles and questions raised more now than it seems ever before about this question that you posed: where are the women? And Dina, I'm pointing to you because I want to ask you about this first. Why are we hearing more about these questions? Why are people asking about this more?
Well, I suspect it has a lot to do with Hillary Clinton's campaign and the fact that we came very close to seeing a woman become president and we still haven't. And so I think that's where it's at. But political scientists have been asking these questions for quite a while. It's not, brand new to us, but we still don't have all the answers, and we still keep wondering, where are the women and why aren't more running for office?
Well, Ruth, I'm going to go to you next because I want to hear a little bit about your backstory and what propelled you to first run. But first I want to go to, there was a New York Times article featuring an interview with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, and the headline, "The problem for women is not winning, it's deciding to run."
Yes,
and Gillibrand has talked about it. As a child, she wanted to run, but it wasn't until decades later when she said, these are her words, "I had the self-confidence to run." So I ask you, what was it that made you say, you're a trailblazer, made you say, I'm going to do this?
Well, I felt like I was hijacked, to tell you the truth.
Really?
I wasn't particularly interested in running. I was interested in being a policymaker someplace, but not necessarily at the political level. And Midge Costanza was the only woman on the Rochester City Council. She was tapped by Carter to become a part of his administration. And so the women in my neighborhood said, you take Midge's place. And I said, well, I don't know if I want to do that. And they kept begging me and begging me. Finally they said, guess what? Why don't you just go through the system to see if it's honest? I couldn't resist that challenge. And so I said, okay. And so I went through it not expecting to be chosen.
Really?
And yeah, it was an interesting and challenging event.
But any hesitation along the way in the process?
Along the way in the process, there was hesitation because my concern was I really was committed to being a good mother and a good wife. And so one of the things that was helpful for me is that my husband and I decided we'd go away by ourselves one whole day and facilitate each other in getting out on the table. What are your fears? What are your concerns? What, how would this operate in terms of the way our lives are organized at this time? And that really helped because it helped me make some decisions about. For instance, I told people, you can call me at any time unless I'm having prayers with my children, reading stories, or at dinner.
All right. Yeah. I'll hold that because I want to get back to that.
Okay.
So Tiana, the Times article that I referenced, American University did a study and they found that when women run for political office, they are just as likely as men to be elected. The main reason they are so underrepresented is that they don't run in the first place. Yeah. So you talked to elected officials throughout Monroe County when you essentially said to them, where are the women in politics? What did they say to you?
I think Ruth brought up the perfect point. She said, I wanted to be a good mother and a good wife, and it's that division of labor. We have to take on so much. Already we're at work 8 hours a day, but when we go home, we have different responsibilities than men. Whether it's putting dinner on the table, it's, putting the kids to bed. And over the years, men have definitely stepped up a lot, but overwhelmingly, a lot of women still feel most of the burden falls on them.
Well, many men insist that it falls on them.
Yeah, like the woman who ran. Why do we in our society seem to fall into these roles?
Because we're just still conditioned by the attitudes of a lot of men, which wasn't true with my husband, thank goodness, who say, well, your place is, we used to have this saying early in the 70s about a woman's place is in the House and in the Senate.
That's my mom had a T-shirt that said that.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Kirsten Gillibrand is the anomaly, though, that to say that she was always interested in running for office is so atypical for women, because women are less frequently tapped to run for office. They don't talk about it in the household. Parents don't. It makes a huge difference if your mom or your dad will say to you, hey, someday you should think about running for office. And that doesn't happen as much for girls as it does for boys. So Kirsten Gillibrand is the absolute anomaly for saying that she was always interested. That's really unique. And you add that, plus, and even with that, she still said she had to get that self-confidence, and that's a huge factor too. Women are less likely to think that they're qualified because they have an ideal in mind what you should be to be able to run for office, where the men are much more likely to say, hey, of course I can do it.
So that brings up a very good point. So what are there key moments throughout one's life, childhood, high school years, college, etc., where those are pivotal moments where someone's saying, like you mentioned, parents encouraging their children to run for office? Are there moments when that are pivotal to kind of tap into to kind of further propel a person down that particular path?
College seems to be an important time because there's some relatively recent research that's showing that up through high school, those differences aren't quite as large, even though still parents aren't talking about it, friends aren't saying to girls, you should think about running. But the differences really start to grow in college. So men in college are more likely to join the Young Republicans or Young Democrats group. Think about running for their college offices and things like that. So that seems to be, I think, a moment to say to women in college, hey, have you ever thought about joining, you know, a political group? Have you ever thought about running? I think that's important then.
Well, I also think having experiences even in high school where you are considered, well, you know, why don't you be president, or why don't you be vice president, or whatever the role is, and running for those offices at that, because that's what I did. I was always into something. I was in every club I could get into, because at the time when I was going to high school, not many African American women or men were involved in the extracurricular activities, and I did all of them because my father had this kind of attitude: you can do anything you want to do if you're willing to work for it. So
I'd say too, I think even going further back, we're talking about a lot of political instances, but this goes across industries, and I think telling women, or especially young girls when they're young, you know, you have a voice, and empowering that voice, listening to that voice. I think even if they don't become a politician, you know, maybe they're more likely to become an editor in a newsroom, a different CEO, something like that. So strengthening that voice.
No, I agree. My dad used to say to me, I want you to run for president. I said, never, but I want to do journalism. So I see, and that worked for me, absolutely. You were going to jump in, Dina.
Well, I was going to say that I think also that women need to be told that they can do this, but they do find other avenues. And so women are more likely to think that they can make a difference through volunteering work and stuff. So I think then what becomes important is for parties and recruiters to find the women where they're at. They're in the PTAs, they're in the school boards, they're overwhelmingly in the school boards. And so if you're trying to recruit, you have to go where they are. And so it's not that women aren't engaged or aren't active. They vote at higher rates than men do.
Right, absolutely.
So they are. It's just that leap to the office, to you know, publicly elected office, is one that they haven't taken as much as men have.
Well, you know, J. Newton Smalls has this book called The Broad Influence, and she talks about the fact that it's really important for there to be a critical mass. And when that critical mass comes about, like 20% of an organization, a board, a political situation, things change. The whole attitude about how policy gets made and developed, and whom it's going to help, those things happen because women are at the table. They don't really happen with men.
Tiana, when you talk to elected officials here locally, what did they say needs to be done to encourage more women to run? Were there practical steps, action steps? And I'm talking in particular for those watching right now who may say, you know what, I've had that feeling, that nudge. How do I go about doing it? Did you hear anything from anyone?
I think the best advice I heard was just to get involved. And we were saying, you know, women do get involved at these other levels. Getting that experience under your belt of how to work in a team, how to delegate different things, how to, you know, really present yourself and your ideas and get those passed. But at the same time, I thought it was really cool how a couple other legislators said we're kind of ahead. You know, we have great representation in the city. The county is pretty good. So I think, if anything, kind of continuing along what we have been doing and really really making sure that we're tapping into the women who are there, because we clearly have a great pool of politicians.
All right, well, we are out of time, but a huge thank you to my guests for sharing your insight and experiences for us. And for Republican women interested in running for political office, the group Winning for Women is launching soon to serve as a resource. And the group Emily's List provides training and support for Democratic women candidates. So for more information, check out the websites on your screen.